Oh, another expensive week for me. I'm going to start off by just mentioning that Ni no Kuni at the moment in the US can be had for $19.99 at GameStop. So if you're interested in picking that up physically, it's an absolutely brilliant RPG and well worth that price. That's an absolute steal. With that said, I think I've managed to select some real gems this week. Some that potentially you won't have played before and some I know you're going to love. But I've also thrown in a few ludicrously cheap ones as well, just because I know no one has any money and you really shouldn't be watching these. But it's still nice to buy something, isn't it? If you want to be in with a chance of winning a free copy of Rise Race the Future, it is an EU key, so do be aware of that. Just leave your normal comments down below and we'll all have a good chinwag. With that said, what's on sale this week? Let's find out. First up, we've got Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is currently 40% off its lowest ever price, taking it down to around about $7.79. Now that's exactly the price, or its regional equivalent. This one's on sale in all regions, which is nice, and it describes itself as a dreamy arcade game about riding motorcycles, skateboarding, dance battling, shooting lasers, wielding swords, and breaking hearts at 200 miles per hour. It's an unusual one, this. It has a custom written pop soundtrack that kind of frames the entire game. And the story goes like this: as the heart of a young woman breaks, the balance of the universe is disturbed. A diamond-hearted butterfly appears in her dreams and leads her through a highway in the sky, where she finds her other self, the masked biker called the Fool. Yeah, look at the gameplay, see what you think. It's a very difficult one to put your finger on, but absolutely a hidden gem on the Switch. You're looking at a Metacritic and an OpenCritic score in the 80s, which is nice. And it has a download size of 1.2 gigs, so it's reasonably small. It's going to take you around about 3 or 4 hours to complete the game the first time round, which isn't a great deal really, it's quite short. But if you want to complete everything, you're looking at around about 10 hours. This is my little hidden gem of the week. Little Dragon's Cafe is currently 70% off, taking it down to a very reasonable $17 or your regional equivalent. Now this was first recommended to me by Glen and it is a very, very good game. It's very addictive. The problem here are the load times. Now it's not very good in terms of load times. There are large periods of play where there aren't any, but that's something worth noting. It starts out with a twin brother and his sister learning to cook and manage a small cafe with their mum, but unfortunately something bad happens and, well, you have to take over. I like the balance between running the cafe and looking after that dragon. It was very cool, and this one has some really nice music. It's got a lovely art style, this one. I'm not quite sure what you'd describe it as, and it clocks in at a very small 695 megs. The game is a long one. It's going to take you around about 40 hours to complete everything, but in reality you could spend far longer than that playing it. If you can cope with a few slightly longer loading times, then there's a great game to be had here, and it's well worth the price. This sale goes on until September the 11th. Next up then, we've got Penny Punching Princess, which is currently, I believe, 75% off, taking it down to its lowest price of all time. Now this is another one that Glen recommended to me. I think he'd played it back on another platform, and it's excellent. It's an action game, which is essentially an isometric brawler that takes place in a world ruled by capitalism, where cash is the king, and there's money popping out all over the place as you defeat enemies. It's very quick, quite slick. It is a shame that it doesn't have multiplayer, I must admit, but it's still a really fun single player game. You can update your skills with the currency that you've collected, and it's going to take you around about 13 hours to complete the whole thing, or if you want to find absolutely everything, then you're looking at more like 19 hours, which is a good amount of time. That sale goes on until the 20th of September. Next up, we've got Civilization 6. This is 50% off, as 2K have many of their games on sale at the moment, and I think this is a very good price to pick it up at. There has been a little bit of DLC, and you can buy, I believe, a slightly larger version that has the DLC included, but obviously you'll pay the extra if you want to do that. For £22.49, I think this is a nice entry point. It runs well on the Switch, and it's surprisingly good actually. It's a 4X strategy title if you weren't aware, so it's not real time, and there's many different ways to victory. Now, of note and worth thinking about as well is that you can pick this up physically on Amazon at a nice chunky discount. I think in America it's like 75%, and if you're willing to go third party in the UK, I think you can get it equally cheap, which is really a good price. at around about $15. This one's going to take you, if you really want to find and do everything, you're looking at over 200 hours easily. But just for the main story, if you were rushing your way through, you could do 20, 25 hours. But it's not really that type of game, you know, a strategy title, you can come back to it at any point. It's almost infinite. I've rated this very highly in our review, and I would definitely recommend picking it up if you're looking for one of, if not the best strategies on the Nintendo Switch. I had to mention Borderlands. I was kind of not entirely sure whether I should because it's 20% off, which is really good. But actually, do you know what? With that Mario coming up, which is what, 50 quid for the free games? I think £31-ish, about £30 for 3 titles, the Handsome Collection, is a really good bit of value. If you're not sure what they are, well, they're first person, almost, what would you say, first person action, almost RPGs. You'll undertake loads of different missions for different factions and people, but there's a human that runs through these that is razor sharp. Loads of characters, some of them are quite annoying, like Claptrap, but he's kind of love to hate him. And if you can get a group of friends together to play through, this is possibly some of the greatest gaming moments I've had on any platform. When I played it back on PC, it's still just as good on Switch, and it has gyroscopic controls and split screen multiplayer as well if you want to play locally. One thing I will say is make sure your SD card has had a serious workout, because this is 21 gigs. It would be remiss of me not to mention the Bioshock Infinite, the complete edition, and also the Bioshock Remastered, as they're probably my 2 favourites. The second one's really good as well, but I just absolutely loved the first title, As You Go Beneath the Ocean's Waves, and I really like this complete change of setting and really the feeling of the game for the third one as you ascend into the clouds. Now these are again first person shooters. They have some really nice mod mechanics whereby you get these different abilities and you can change them on the fly. So for example, you could electrocute an enemy and then hit them with a bar and that will kill them instantly. You only get more and more powerful as the game progresses, but there's a really nice story that underpins everything as you go along and has one of the best soundtracks in gaming still to this day. These are 20% off, so not a huge drop, but if you've been eyeing them up for a while, then maybe grab these before they go off of sale on the 14th. Then we've got Hellwarders. Now Hellwarders, I reviewed it way back when, and I've mentioned it a few times on sale. I'm really keen to get a few of you interested, but now this price is just insane. It's £3.84, which incidentally is £1 less than I paid for a pint today at the pub. So, I mean, that's a bargain. And this is going to last a lot longer than that did, trust me. This one clocks in at 2.1 gigs. It does have online 2 to 4 player. And when I played it way back when again, I was able to find quite a few games and it's brilliant online. You'd hope that as it's on sale there might be some people playing. It's like an action RPG meets a tower defense game. You control different heroes who have their own abilities and attacks, but then you're deploying units based on a pre-game selection. You can upgrade them as the encounter goes on, and it's just a very good game. At launch it was absolutely janky for performance, but it runs now I believe at 60 FPS, so it's well worth picking up. Describing itself as one of the hardest games ever, which just seems a slightly odd marketing strategy, Cyber Protocol is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. This is 90% off at the moment, 89 pence. Come on now, 89p. You can't even get 99s with a flake anymore, so 89p is an absolute steal. I don't know what that's got to do with anything, that made no sense. But I think I would happily challenge you to have a go at this one. If you're a fan of these types of fast-paced but also quite strategic titles, it's an arcade puzzle game that's set in a cyberpunk scenario that looks really simple, but it's just really clever. It has 1 to 4 player multiplayer as well. It clocks in at 626 megs, which is nothing. And yeah, I challenge you, 89p, go and buy this one, come back and tell me if you liked it or not. If you didn't like it, then well, I'm not going to give everyone their 89p back, but I'll be surprised. I'll be very surprised. This sale goes on until September the 17th. Last but not least, for the mainline sales then, before we look at 2 you should avoid, we've got the one and only. And this is another one where I'd absolutely love you to comment down below, because when it comes up on sale at this much, I have to mention it. And it's Ease8 Lacrimosa of Dana, 50% off, which is its previous low, and the sale goes on until the 20th, so you've got a good chunk of time. If you've played this one, please pop a comment, I don't know, or maybe like right at the top or something, maybe below the main comment, just to let people know if it's worth them picking up, because, you know, it's still 24 quid. Someone's going to think that's a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, but is it worth their time? And I'd say absolutely yes, it is. It's set on a, well, you wash aboard an island after a shipwreck, and you gradually have to build up your party, and you find different crew members around the island, then they join you, and that then allows you to unlock different parts of this island. The combat's very cool. There's like giant dinosaurs and stuff to fight. There's a lot of humour in the writing, which is always nice, and there are different outfits that you can change into, such as the pirate one, which was straight on my character. And I think to complete it, it took me around about 40 to 50 hours, but if you wanted to find everything, you're looking more like 70 to 80 at least. One thing I will say is it's a slightly larger game. It's 14.7 gigs, so make sure you've got the space for it. But yeah, at least in the UK, this is the best price we've seen. Okay, so it's that wonderful time of the week that I know you all look forward to. It's 2 games you should avoid, like buying your micro SD card on AliExpress and then telling your subscribers that it's fantastic, only for both of them to explode at the same time, losing all of your games. Yeah, that happened. Don't buy your cards on AliExpress. I think I'm gonna cry. Oh man. First up, we've got The Outer Worlds. Now, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it, but the performance was horrible. And that patch is in the works, it's just not here yet. It's currently 20% off, but that's not really good enough, is it? Let's be honest. For the performance we're seeing, you could buy it much cheaper on Steam or PS4 or anywhere else, really. I will let you guys know as soon as that patch is out, and I'll do an updated video for you showing you again if it's worth you picking up. But don't buy it right now. Really, just don't. And then there's one of the funniest reviews I think I've ever seen in my life was Glen's review of Go Fishing 3D. It's currently not on sale. I mean, I don't know why it's not on sale. It should be. It should be a penny at all times. It's absolute crap. But if you want a good old chuckle, check out the review. It was a bit of like a forfeit. He had to do it. But I'll pop a link down in the top comment because it was just amazing to watch him have to spend time doing this, and you can hear the pain in every second of that review. So I think it might be the lowest review on SwitchUp, so it's a bit of history. Go and check that review out, top comment, have yourself a chuckle, make sure you take a bag of popcorn and a drink. So that's it for this week. Let me know down in the comments if you'll be picking anything up. Do please subscribe if you enjoy the content, because otherwise it will just be me and Glen talking to ourselves about nothing. We do hope quite soon to launch a second channel. I've been thinking of something like, well, I don't know, what do you think of like SwitchUp, not SwitchUp Extra, but like SwitchUp everything, and it covers like all consoles and all systems, because I love the PC, Glen loves the PS4, and obviously the PS5's coming out, and wouldn't it be nice to have some SwitchUp reviews of different platforms? I certainly would like to use my PC a bit more, and yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. Obviously that wouldn't affect this channel at all. As always, for all things Switch, all the time, oh yeah, big thanks to our patrons, keep it Switch Up. Cheers guys, see ya!